Hey, I'm Trey Lopashinsky, and I'm joined by Councillor Trevor Bolin for Council Corner, where twice a month I meet with a member of council to chat about ongoing topics discussed in the community, as well as items from recent council meetings. But for today's edition, we're simply talking about the pool replacement, the North Peace Leisure Facility, the future facility. Thank you so much for joining me today, Councillor Trevor Bolin.
Thanks for having me. I don't think it's simply the pool, but let's get underway.
Well, yeah, the facility as a whole, and the reason why you're talking to it is you are a member of the North Peace Leisure Facility Steering Committee. Specifically, what's your position before we get into it?
I am fortunate enough to be the chair. I've been elected by the other committee members. This is now my second term as the chair.
Awesome. So getting right into it, there are engagement sessions going on throughout the month about the pool replacement and what people want for a future leisure facility, asking residents, also what they're willing to pay in taxes. There had already been 2 rounds of engagement organized in the region. Why was it decided to do more engagement? And was it just because of the high cost, or was there more factors at play?
I think, Trey, it's a good question. So originally when we did it back in 2018, we went out to the community in 2019 to find out what they were looking at. And then I think we missed a part of the discussion, and the part of that discussion that we missed at that point in time was the basics, the foundation of this facility. That this is not a city-owned facility. This is a facility owned by the North Peace, or by the Peace River Regional District. So it confuses people because they don't understand. They think they're a City of Fort St. John resident. They're not a Peace River Regional District member. All of us are Peace River Regional District members. So even if you own a home in the City of Fort St. John, you are still a tax-paying Peace River Regional District resident as well. So we wanted to get back to what it actually meant to have a regional facility like this, and what it looks like. And from there it became, it's not about what is it going to cost a Fort St. John resident, because all of a sudden it's Taylor, it's Fort St. John, it's Area B. So for those that don't know Area B, it'd be, Cecil Lake, North Pine, Rose Prairie, Preston, circling back around the mile 71 on the highway. And then coming a little bit closer to home, you've got Area C, which encompasses Charter Lake and comes right up to our boundary on the west. So it was getting enough information that we could ensure everybody knew. So COVID hit. That was shut down, unfortunately, and we lost 2.5 years on that. We picked it back up kind of where we'd left off. The community said, listen, we get that. We said that a few years ago. What about this? What about that? So honestly, it came back to the advisory committee, and it's tough, right? Because here in Chambers, it's about Fort St. John, and the same goes for Area B directors and Area C. Both Brad and Jordan and Taylor. It's we represent our communities right to the heart of it, and this is about a regional benefiting facility that all of us are going to benefit from, whether we use it or not. So, honestly, it was let's go back, let's give one final chance for people to ensure that they can have their say, which is what these 4 and 5 opportunities coming up are going to be throughout the month. And we're then going to be able to go back and say, let's get to a referendum on this.
Just commenting on that, during your tenure in politics, municipal politics, I'm sure you've been on many different committees, but what was it like for the transition, I guess, going into the steering committee and having to think, you're thinking about residents of the whole region as opposed to, like you said, just the City of Fort St. John?
It's, it's I think for any politician, it's always a difficult task to ask, because like I said, when we talk about taxes, we talk about, our taxes and what we can do to benefit the residents of Fort St. John. And if that involves, going after the regional district on certain items or going after the province, that's what we do. And now you're going to throw us all into a room, which we've got some amazing people in here, and that includes some of the consultants as well. I shouldn't say some, but the consultants as well. But you've got some very differing opinions in a room, and it makes it difficult because, take Taylor for an example. We're fortunate to have Michelle and Betty in this round from Taylor, the councillors down there. They go back to Taylor, and they then share the discussion at that point in time in a completely different community, in a bedroom community of Fort St. John. But Taylor is a very proud, very self-sufficient village. But it's the greater good. It's, if I lived in Taylor, it's the services that I use in the City of Fort St. John. And I think, Trey, the biggest thing, you ask somebody, hey, where are you from? And if they live in Charlie Lake, a lot of times they'll say Fort St. John. If they live in Rosebery, it's Fort St. John. If they live in Taylor, it's Fort St. John. So, we are the hub. We are the, big brother, if you will, being the service center of the area. And I think it's how we all work better together and everybody benefits. And that is going to be what this pool is about.
So I know you've probably had this asked you a bunch of times, and I know it's probably hard to say, but roughly, when will residents see a new leisure facility? It obviously depends on multiple factors.
It's a that's a hot question.
What is the committee hoping, I guess?
I think if I were to put my hopes and my dreams out there, it would be a late fall start in 2025. Okay. A real good dig into things happening in the spring of 26. And I think we would be swimming in that come a 3.5 year period after that. So 2029, you and I are going to race down that water slide.
Oh heck yeah, we are. I'm probably going to hurt myself.
I'll make sure you do.
With the workshops that are being hosted from April 13th to 20th, what response are you expecting from residents with this third round? Like, I know you guys are making sure that this is the last round so everyone can get in their feedback. What are you hoping to take away from it?
This is it. This is the one and done. So, we've got 3 options that have been laid out. We've got, the 25-meter facility without the additional multiplex side of things. We have got the 50-meter pool facility without the additional multiplex side of things. And then, of course, we've got the 25-meter with the rec center side of things, or the pitches and gymnasiums and everything that comes with that. So, I think we're gonna more or less have an opportunity to explain to people why it's gonna cost this much money, right? Because up until this point in time, we actually didn't have costs. Staff at the RD and our own staff here at the city have done a phenomenal job in breaking down what that's going to look like for every different resident, so that it's based on the average price. And I think really that this round of communication is, here's what you get and why, and this is how much it's going to cost. And that is what I really am hoping. And I mean, the Fort St. John session, we were talking, you and I, just before we got going, I mean, it's already all sold out. So they're making more space so that people can continue to register and attend. But you don't have to attend the area you live in, right? If you live in Charlie Lake and you can only make it to the area B or the Beldonald one or the Rosebery one, it doesn't matter. Just attend so that you can find out why it costs this. Because right now on Facebook, it's everybody's ideas and opinions, but let's stick to the facts.
And if you can't go to the in-person sessions, they have the virtual ones as well.
We've got virtual ones as well. You know what, honestly, Trey, and like, I said when I was doing an interview, Brad and I did an interview on Moose FM with you guys last week. I don't even care if you ask me on Facebook if you can't make those meetings. I don't care if you send me a direct message to find out why and what and where and when, because this is important. So this is one of those facilities that this is it. This is the next 50 years of facilities in Fort St. John. So, we looked and some of the questions we got around the RCMP building is, oh no, why so big? Oh no, why so much money? And when you change the way that you look at something and you change the way that, forever Fort St. John kind of built of a 20 years, it's 25 years, oh, we're going to be busy for this, let's build for this, or our population might drop after that. We have yet to ever find a benefit in that. So, as we look to a 50 and 60 year facility that's going to serve a wide array of folks in this region, let's build it to last forever.
Yeah, I remember talking about that, the Moose Talks meeting. Brad Sperling even said, you guys have been talking since 2018, but if it's going to be for the next 50 years, this new facility, rather take it longer than rush into it,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Exactly, make sure it's done right. Just a quick breakdown of the options. I know you've talked about it ad nauseum, but just so residents kind of know the breakdown of those options and costs.
Yep. So option 1, option 2, option 3 are 3 separate options on the pool. Number 1 is the 25 meter without the multiplex option. It is still an enhanced aquatics facility, so there is still a hot tub. There is still a sauna.
It's similar to what we have now.
It'd be probably, if you were to say what we've got, I mean, a lot larger, but it would basically be what we have now. If we took a new fancy shiny version of our I don't even know what year it was, 1996? Yeah, I think it was 1996. Pool, that would be it. Option 2 is a 50-meter enhanced aquatic center only. So that is a 50-meter pool. It is for a competition swim style. you're still gonna have the hot tubs and the water slides and stuff like that. So it's still an enhanced aquatic facility. I think the difference with that one is that facility on its own is an $8.8 million operational cost annually, right? And again, people don't understand why. It costs a lot of money to ensure that water temperature of a 50-meter pool for Olympic swimming is perfect for
That's
swimmers.
what I was going to ask, because option 3 is basically what a lot of people have been asking as a multi-use facility, and it's cheaper for the operating costs.
It is, it is. I mean, and part of that, what people again don't understand is when you throw things in like field houses, a field house actually generates more revenue than an aquatics facility does. Not because it's more popular, simply because it costs a lot less to operate. So, and that was one of the biggest things. I mean, the city council heard from their residents right in the beginning that it was a 25-meter pool, multiplex style that they were really after, and that's where I think that option 3 really started to gain feet and run from that was how can we take a bunch of different opportunities, facility styles, putting them into one building, leveraging that so that it's cheaper for the taxpayer on the long run. And that's literally what option 3 is. So at the end of the day, if you want a pool and you want a hot tub and you want a slide and all these different aquatics, and then you also look towards the dual gymnasiums, the 3 soccer pitch model, all of that is in that option with a $6.6 million operating cost.
And do you think after all these workshops are done, residents will still be heavily favoring that third option, or what are you kind of thinking from the feedback you've gotten so far now?
From what I've heard online, what I've read online, I think that one, I think the 50-meter is certainly something that people have to have a look at, and I think that's what we're seeing online is understanding that Olympic-sized pool does give other benefits to swim clubs and maybe schools and stuff like that. But, I think then when people go, oh, wait a minute, there's no soccer pitch in this, there's no gymnasiums in this, I think that's what becomes the game changer, because for a long time we've heard, Fort St. John does not have a multiplex. People feel that for the size of the community, we should have one. It's been a major discussion that's happened in elections over the years, including even the last one. So I'm really hoping that people come out, that they make it clear that this is what they're looking for. At the end of the day, Trey, we're gonna build and we're gonna operate what the community wants. I hope it's a 25-meter full-serve multiplex center. If it's not, it's not, and that's up to the residents to decide. Because at the end of the day, from there, they're going to then be asked to vote in a referendum. It is not going to be a what do you want vote. It is a yes or no vote. Yes, we want a new facility and we will borrow for that. No, we do not want a new facility and we won't have to borrow for that.
After all the workshops, surveys done, how will the committee be able to sift through all that information? Like, what's the process, going forward?
We fortunately have a couple different sets of consultants that we've been working on this facility with since 2018, as well as a marketing team and a communication team that we have. So I would like to pretend that it's us that are going to do that. Like, I can just picture us hunkering down, and it's like nobody leaves this room until this. Nobody's leaving until this is done. But I mean, realistically, that's not how politicians work. So they'll hand it all over to the consultants and say, let us know what the outcome is. So, is it going to be an immediate outcome where we come out of the room? It's like we're the jury, right? It's like you are guilty. It's not, but within time of them being able to put those results together, the advisory committee then makes its recommendation to the Peace River Regional District, because as we started this process, this is owned by the Peace River Regional District, and they will then decide what that looks like. Each municipality partner, as we say, will then have their say, and then we will garner together as one and hopefully get a referendum that will be approved in this calendar year, would be my hope.
That would definitely be awesome. I'm sure a lot of people would be happy at that. How's it being funded? Where's the funding coming from?
A lot of hopes, a lot of wishes, right?
Pull out your wallet.
It is going to be funded by the taxpayers, as all of facilities are. So we would look as the regional district to borrow the funds to complete the capital components of this project. So they fortunately, we borrow differently than banks do, right? We have our own almost municipal lenders that we deal with and that we work with, and depending on what choice would be optioned out in the end of the timeline over the course of the next month. We would then go back, we would look at the funding options, we would look at a 20-year amortization where those are going to go on your taxes. So staff have put together what those capital costs and operational costs will be annually on people's taxes. And if you look at option 3, for an example, because we talked about that the most, which is the multiplex version, between the 4 areas, A, B, or B, C, Fort St. John, and Taylor, it ranged from $306 to $543 annually on their taxes. So that does include that operations. There is a net component to that, because what people too don't understand is you're actually paying for the pool right now on your taxes. We'll take that amount out, put our new amount in, and I think the easiest way to do it, and there is no sorcery, there's no magic to this. It is literally going to be paid for by us as homeowners, business owners in all of the different districts, taxpayers, and we're going to pay for it. We're going to use it, and we're going to benefit from it. So even the folks that say my kids are growing up, I'm not going to ever take my kids to that pool. I'm not going to use that pool. Number one, there's your grandkids that are probably using that pool. That's the age-old question we have around schools. Number 2 is what does it make your area, your region, your city worth to have a facility like that? So all of a sudden your house prices are worth more. Your salary is worth more. We are attracting more physicians and engineers and professionals and retail employees to a community that has a multiplex like this with a brand new state-of-the-art pool. It's expensive, right? Without a doubt, it is expensive. I will not soften that blow. I had a lady email me the other day, and she says, it may be cheap for you, and I'm going, I have figured out what it costs on my house, and it is not cheap. But it is something that I am willing to pay because I believe in the project. I believe in that project in this community benefiting this region. And I think that when people break it down to what it is in its simplest form, at $40 a month, yeah, you know what? There's probably a lot of things you don't have to spend $40 a month on that you do. And this is something that you would see a massive direct impact on by spending $40 a month.
Well, you even did that breakdown on the Moose FM interview, and you even went day by day as well.
Day by day, right?
Some people would be like $2, $3, $4 a day kind of thing.
I think, it went anywhere from $2 to $8, right? So what, and that's why I think my question becomes, and when people tell me that they just can't do it, what can you sacrifice in order to have that?
To invest in the community.
Well, and you know what? To invest in your kids and your grandkids. Well. I grew up pre this pool, so not to show my age, but I grew up in the old pool, and we had a rope swing, we had life jackets, and we had 2 diving boards, and that was our pool. So where we've come from, I remember this one opening up, and it was like everybody was going, I don't want to pay that exorbitant amount of money, and now it looks like a pretty small amount of money for just a fancy pool. Well, and then you look at the amount of users that were in that pool. So I can tell you right now, in the month of March, we were just shy of 6,000 users in that pool in March. That is a ton of users in an old facility that we know needs to be updated or replaced or whatever that's going to look like. But when you look at 6,000 people going through that pool for the last 30 years, that pool has seen a lot of people. And that's why we start to understand why it's fallen apart.
And has that thought process of like the aging infrastructure on the current pool, has that, I'm assuming it has, went into the thought process of what's going to be going for the next facility?
Yeah.
Like in terms of the infrastructure, and obviously it's going to be up to date, right? So. Yeah,
you know what, Trey, and not that I like to bring up old stuff, but part of the problem with the existing pool that we have is that the councils and the politicians and the staff and the consultants of the day did what they could to ensure that pool could get passed by a referendum because it had failed. It had failed a couple times, and they wanted to get this facility built. And they looked at how can we cheap out to get this facility built. And they changed bolts, and they changed a lot of different things that we're paying the price for today. So it's cost versus price. You know what? I'm willing to pay the price of a new facility to not have to pay the cost of an old one. Because if this facility lasts 10 years, number one, I would be blown away because even the life expectancy of that facility is only 6 more years. Number two, we're talking millions and millions of dollars annually to to keep this thing going. We've already replaced every bolt that we can replace. We've already fixed leaks. We ended up having to cap off the hot tub because by the time we tore that open, those are pipes that nobody even knew were there, right? So it's price versus cost, and then that's why I said, you know what, I will lump up that price, but I'm not paying the cost.
My last question for you here, Trevor. Where do residents head to get all the information they need before going to these workshops, or just to register for the workshops?
They can register everything right now, Trey. We've got such a phenomenal team. It is all on social media. It is on our websites. It is everywhere. You can't turn around without getting on there. So whether it's the Peace River Regional District's official Facebook page, which is what they call themselves, our recreational page, the City of Fort St. John page, and that's Facebook. That is websites. You can register for those sessions, including the virtual one, as well as the in-person. Don't make excuses why you can't go. Find reasons why you need to be there. And you know what? We've seen this before where, 2 years later, I didn't know this was even being discussed. And it's like, oh, no, you didn't, because I know you know. And I know that I'm going to make sure that you know. So, you know what? Get on our Facebook page. There's links directly there that you can register. We want to see you there, not because we're going to try to convince you one way or another, or I'm going to tell you that I think this idea is better. We want you to fully understand what this is going to be, what this is going to cost. We want you to ensure that you know going forward, you vote in the referendum, that if you're voting yes for those reasons. And you know what, Trey, if you're voting no, you're voting no for those reasons as well. So it is about education, and it is about us moving forward as a region in each of our communities.
Well, and you guys have been putting in the work doing all these interviews and making sure that it's in front of the public and that they know as much as possible.
There's no way nobody doesn't know this is a hot topic.
Outside of that, Trevor, anything else you'd like to add for residents? Anything they need to know before heading into the workshops, or anything you want to let them know?
You know what? Honestly, just don't get tied up in the gossip on the community channels. You know what? You've got the mayor of Fort St. John, myself as council. You've got the director of Area C and B, both Brad and Jordan. You've got both the ladies from Taylor. All of us are on those pages. All of us are on Facebook. All of us have a cell phone. So if you've got a question that you want to know, ask us. Right? Don't believe that it comes down to taxing your shed. Because this will work like any other facility works, as we've built in the past, as we have currently in the past, where yes, it's going to cost all of us to not only build this facility and operate this facility, but that's going to be the benefit to going and having the cheapest fun that you can possibly have in the entire region as a family for the next 60 years. So reach out. Don't ever be afraid, because that is what we're elected for. If your elected official won't answer your questions, get a new elected official.
Awesome. Thanks, Trevor.
Have a great day.